Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to actually love this live video. I'm going to be having a conversation with a parent, and he's actually used some of my programming. So, for example, the Youth Soccer Playbook, he's gone through the entire thing, top to bottom, really helped his son. And as well, he has had access to the 3% Parent Blueprint. And so me and him are going to have a conversation about it to get his opinion, his thoughts, his feedback, and see if it really helped him make better decisions. And we're going to figure that out here momentarily if he felt the Youth Soccer Playbook and the 3% Parent Blueprint was worth his time and effort to go through, which we're going to find out here in a moment. So let me go ahead and get him invited in here. So 1 second, nobody move, nobody panic, just be patient. Gonna make sure I got his name correct. Toda, there we go. So if you guys have any questions, please actually, could you just film an actual team training with 20 players at U10? I mean, 20 players is a lot. I don't have 20 players at U10. I do have a U10 team. So, but if you go to my YouTube channel, I have an entire thing there that will kind of walk you through what we do for training called the Obsession Beast program. And so you should have an idea if you look at that. So I'm just giving him a second to jump in here. And then we're going to go ahead and make it rock. And he's going to tell us all about his experience with the Youth Soccer Playbook, which if you don't know what that is, it's what I would do with my child. I have a boys and girls edition from basically birth all the way through to hopefully signing a professional contract. And that's what we're going to kind of look at and discuss today. So it's coming here in a moment. Just wait for him to get in to the chat or to the call. I'm sorry. And if anybody else has used it, I would love your feedback. It said he had an error to join. Let's try and get him back in. Boom, there we go. Try to invite him again. So Lazy, I want your feedback, man. What did you think in terms of all that? Let me know what you think about it. Marcus, what's up, G? How much is the Youth Soccer Playbook? Ferrari, I think you may be surprised. 100% free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Completely free. Literally free. You don't have to pay $1 for any of it. So we're trying to get him in here. Looks like we might have a small issue. It's Hassan. Trying to get him in. Hopefully we can do that momentarily and you guys can hear. It helped get my son to an academy. Awesome. So maybe we should do a conversation as well and figure that out. Let me try again. I don't know what's going on without getting him in here. Let's try again. Where do you get the Youth Soccer Playbook? You can get it from my podcast or my YouTube channel. So just go to my bio link. So if you click on my Instagram, go to the bio link, you'll see it might do a little bit of scrolling, but it's all there, YouTube channel and podcast. It keeps telling me he's unable to join. I might have to do this again. I don't know what's going on with his thing. It's not letting him join. Free was watching this today. Two cool kids. So oh, there we go. Hassan, my dog, brother, how are you?
Hi, Coach. How are you?
Another day in paradise, man. Another day in paradise.
We finally meet in person. So not in person, but.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate, man. I mean, you and me have been, I'm just trying to fix my camera, sorry. You and me have been exchanging messages for a little while. You know, you've shown me the progress of your son. Your son's Youssef, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see, like, he's 5, 6?
He's 5.5 right now. When we first started talking, he was 4 and 8 months.
Right. And how many juggles can he do before we really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this?
Just two.
Just crazy, huh?
Just two. With there's been we'll talk about this, later, but there's been a huge emphasis in using both feet.
Excellent.
Now, because there's nothing in his brain right now. His black
he's a sponge.
Yeah, so
he's got everything. All right, so people that are going to be listening to this, I'm really, thank you again for your time to kind of go through this. You've gone through the Youth Soccer Playbook. I'm sure more content as well, but also the 3% Parent Blueprint. So can you kind of give parents like an idea about like your level of knowledge and experience like about youth soccer, just soccer in general, prior to like even starting any of the content that I had? Zero.
Nada.
So what was your experience? What was your sport background?
My background is in basketball.
Gotcha.
I played baseball because of my dad, but I never liked it.
Right.
Played basketball probably since I was 7 until I was 19. So
right.
Yeah.
So can you kind of expand on since you had zero experience, so just from an overview, so anybody that's going to listen to this now or listen to it later, can you just kind of like, cliff note this, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, how beneficial was the Youth Soccer Playbook Boys Edition and the 3% Parent Blueprint, and why?
For me, in my case, it was everything. It was a good reference, point of reference, because in my case, like I said, I didn't have any experience, and then I took my kid. The whole journey started because I was looking for sports.
Right.
I was looking for basketball. I didn't find anything basketball related for four-year-old kids. So the only program that we found was a soccer program. We tried, and he fell in love with soccer on the second session. So
Nice.
we continue with that. It founded. He was able to found it on its own. I didn't force him. I didn't know anything about it. So I didn't have any expectation. It was going to be something so he can spend, an hour doing physical activity and get him away from the phone, from the TV. So that's how everything started.
That's freaking awesome.
So
and he fell in love, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and then, we started this whole journey, and I was confused. I didn't know anything. I didn't have a point of reference. I found your Instagram page, and then I started kind of learning from you, from your videos. Then I learned about the playbook, and it's been pretty much everything for us. You're so detailed in it. I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about it, but you're so detailed in it. You start from 1 month old to 20 something, whatever. So it's a blueprint. It gives you, pretty much that playbook holds your hands and walks with you. Right. So if you're open-minded, if you're willing to learn and willing to, experiment with other perspective, it's a great learning, book.
It's a tool, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with the playbook then. So, because you did that first. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it was complete and utter shit, to 10 being like, this is the best thing you've ever read in terms of youth development, or one of the best, if not the best, what would you give it and why, the Youth Soccer Playbook?
I would give it a solid 9.5, 10. And this is coming from a person that didn't have any experience with soccer. And the fact that I've been able to educate myself, it says a lot, like how many people are doing what you're doing. So the fact that you put that out there for free, just to educate
for free, you didn't have to pay for
it. So it was great. I mean, like I said, like you go to different sessions, different coaches, different trainers are doing different things. You don't know where to start. So, and it's a good reference point. It helped me compare soccer to basketball in my case. So in basketball, the first thing you learn is to dribble the ball, and soccer to be the same thing. So that's been the emphasis for the past 10 months, just ball mastery. Right. Like you said, start with the core skills, now moving into combining different skills, 1v1. Right. That's what right now.
So since you made that change from what you were doing previously to following the ideas in the Youth Soccer Playbook, how have you seen your son progress since then?
Well, I'm going to be biased. I think you should probably answer that question because you've seen the videos over time. And for a 5-year-old to be doing all those things, all those skills and combination, and be able to move that way laterally, I think you have that.
For me, watching it night and day, it's not even close. I remember when you sent me the first video, you can see, like, again, he's 5, so you don't expect a lot.
Yeah.
But when you sent me the other content, I'm going, man, he's come an absolute long way, and it's crazy. And it's all because you decided to take a risk on something that was mine in terms of content. And I appreciate you taking the chance, because it's like you didn't have to listen to me, but you chose to because you thought I might add value. And that's the most important thing to me, is that I was able to gain your attention and earn your trust from doing that. So obviously I appreciate that. Can you maybe highlight for people, like, what were the 3 biggest takeaways from the playbook that, kind of like really stuck out to you, really regarding your son, or just maybe in general?
From the playbook, it was obviously the first thing was focus on ball mastery at that age. The second one, and I think the super important as well, encourage mistakes. Uh, he needs to be brave. He needs to try new skills. He needs to try, different things in the game. If he is, he's gonna make mistakes. He's
Right?
learning. If
Yeah.
you make those mistakes and you encourage him to continue making those mistakes, he's not gonna learn from them. So
Mm.
I think that's being one of the biggest thing. And the third one is, just be a parent, enjoy the journey. He's like I said, he's gonna make mistakes. Just be there. Don't be yelling like I've seen everything. I mean, my son is not in a team. He's in a developmental program that is, with the end, looking to move those kids into, a travel
Yeah.
team. In practices, I see, it's crazy the things that I see. It's parents going crazy over, it's a scrimmage. The last 15 minutes of a scrimmage, and parents are going crazy, and it's like,
Crazy, man.
yeah, I
So,
know.
like, I want to touch on that point real quick where you talked about allowing mistakes. So, I guess you've gotten to a point where you not only are okay with the mistake, but you've realized it's a part of his process. So, do you, like, when you watch him make a mistake, what is your reaction? Do you react, or how do you handle that situation?
I don't talk to my son at all.
Good
I
for
don't
you.
yell. I step away. I try to record videos. We might be able. I try to give him a speech
Yeah.
before scrimmage or anything like that, just to hype him up and get him excited or anything like
Sure,
that.
sure.
Other than that, I just encourage him. Hey, you need to try. For example, try to do an L or try to do a roll. Try to do a roll and push the ball to the
Sure.
side. Different little things like that. So that way he continues to build that confidence in his skills. And that's the only thing. Well, I'm not looking for goals. I mean, there's right now we're not even working on shooting. I mean,
Hmm.
we do a little bit of shooting, but I would say it's like 5% of the time. It's just ball master at this point. So
Right.
so, so he be able to move around the field
Yeah.
without any fear, be able to get away and moves laterally, like I said, and just be brave out there. That's the
Right.
only thing that I give him. I don't yell at him. Nothing like that.
Nothing. So let me ask you this question, because I get this question all the time from parents, because they'll ask me something along the lines of, how often should my kid be training, and what should he be doing? And I always say this to parents, and I go, if you have to force your kid to practice, then they will quit at some point. So do you force Youssef to practice, or does that come from him?
No, it's not. Well, sometimes if we spend 2 days without doing anything, he's gonna ask me, "Hey, when are we going to this place, or when are we going to this place?" So it's I think it's already built into his
Mm-hmm.
routine. Um, but I think he expects me to take him someplace every day. But he looks forward to
Right,
to playing soccer and the social interaction with new kids, meeting new
right,
kids,
right,
and
right.
a whole environment around soccer. So he looks
Right.
forward to that. When
So it's
practice,
not you dragging him to go to practice.
no,
He's saying, "Dad,
no,
I'm ready. I want to go play. I want to go play and practice." And that's awesome. So that's a good
yeah,
thing, because a lot of times parents ask me that question, and the first thing I ask back is it you, or is it the kid? And that's the biggest thing, because if it's the parent forcing the kid, you will either ruin the relationship between the parent and the kid, or you're gonna force him to want to quit. So those things happen all the time. Now, can you talk about how the playbook um, helped you regarding your son's development, and why?
yeah. Like I said, man, ball mastery has been the emphasis for the past 8 months, and we've been able to make progress. I've just probably saw in the video. So,
Right?
and I've experienced exactly what you said. I've seen parents have come to me, "Hey, how do you get your kid to dribble?" Because
Mm-hmm.
at that age, kids are just kicking the ball. There's no
That's what they're
purpose.
taught.
Like
Yep.
90% of the time, they're just kicking the ball. There's
Yep.
no purpose. They're like 10% of the kids try to dribble,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would say like 2 or 3% are the ones that are able to dribble um, with a purpose.
Right.
So it's been an emphasis on ball mastery. I mean, without the playbook, I would probably be doing lots of shooting, lots of passing drills. That's it. Yeah,
The exact opposite of what you
yeah,
need
yeah.
to
No, I'm
do.
being honest.
That's so funny. Well, and the reason why I asked that question is because, again, you talked about parents and how they behave and how they act on the sideline. if you go and ask the average 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, and you say, hey, do you want to share your ice cream? 99.9% are going to say, absolutely not. No, I don't want to share the ice cream. Yeah. So if you translate that to kids on a field and you got one ball at that age, they want the ball at their feet. They want to be the guy that dribbles everybody and scores. So like, why are we going to take away that freedom from kids to just go and express themselves and be free and be creative and have fun? And I think you making that transition is huge because it's only going to just accelerate his long-term growth. Now, can you quickly expand on how did the youth soccer playbook change your perspective on youth development? You talked about it a little bit, but if you could kind of expand on how it really shifted your mindset, that would be fantastic for people to understand.
Well, we now have a plan. I feel like I know what I'm doing right now. I'm not a coach, I'm not a trainer, but in terms of the things that I can work with him, right. I feel confident that I'm doing the right thing. We have received feedback from you. We have received feedback from other coaches, and we also have received invitation to join certain programs.
Awesome.
But the playbook pretty much opened my mind. I wasn't married to a perspective or an opinion. I guess I approached the playbook with an open mind, and I was very receptive to the information that you provided there. But it definitely gave me the confidence to go to the park for an hour and a half, and just work with him, play with him, and just have a plan for him.
Right. That makes a difference. So, could you explain why you would recommend parents either listen or watch the youth soccer playbook?
Well, the first thing, Coach, is that I think everyone should listen to it or read it. You don't lose anything by doing that, right? So
I agree.
I think I didn't mention this, but the reason why I read the playbook is you have the experience, you have the background. Whether some parents agree with you or not on some topic, that's a separate topic, right? Sure. But you have the experience, and you have the experience, the background, so no one can take that away from you. Yep. So you're an educated person putting something out there that's gonna help people. I think that was the first impression that I got, right? And that alone, that should be reason enough for other parents to read the playbook. It provides very detailed information. It talks about some of the steps that you can, some of the training and the methodology and the information that you can apply and use it with your kid that's going to help him. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's just, I think in my case, it helped me. If you're a brand new parent, I think that should be the first thing that you should read. If you're planning on going on this journey with your son or daughter. So I think you should, it's not going to harm anyone.
Right. Well, I think I always say it like this: education is key. And people have asked me, like, Kyle, why have you started putting this content out there, especially for free? And I said, listen, you probably heard me say this before, but like my parents spent $82,593 for me to play youth soccer from like 6 or 7 to 18 years old. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of money. Now imagine what parents are going to spend today. It's going to be 100, 105, 110, 115, whatever the number is. It's going to be 100K. And you as a parent should want to make the best decision for your child. And the second point is, when people ask me that question, I say, listen, I'm one guy. I put this resource together for you because I want to help kind of change the landscape and educate parents. But you have, and this isn't to knock anybody, this is just explaining. But then you have education, you have organizations that are revenuing millions of dollars a year. And they love parents that don't know anything, because they just get to milk that cow and make more money. And I don't blame them for doing that. That's their business, and they can get away with it. Power to them. But my thing is, can we educate parents? And it sounds like the playbook did a tremendous job helping you. So the feedback's fantastic. And it's just like, for parents to not get ripped off, and the way that I think most people need to try and view this is, you're investing in your child. You should be, from my perspective, or I should say, if I was investing in my child, I don't have one yet, but if I did, I would want to see the development, progression, growth, challenges, struggling. Notice I didn't say winning or losing. That I didn't even mention that. I just talked about things that they have to overcome. I want to see the growth, the development, and those are the things that I would be looking for. So I think that's where the playbook adds value. So anything else you want to add about the playbook before we switch
No,
topics?
no, that's something I didn't mention. But with the play, if you combine the playbook with a 3% parent curse, you'll become a very dangerous parent. That's not what the club wants. You're gonna be more efficient with your time. You're gonna be selective with the clinics, with the teams, with the clubs that you are involved with, because you're gonna know what the emphasis should be at whatever age
Right.
what your son is participating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna save you. It's gonna help you save money in the short term and long term.
Right.
So sometimes, listen. I saw a new program in my area. It was I know they use the word development and academy very loosely, and the first thing is I sent an email and I was able to get a hold of someone, and the first thing they asked me is, okay, the weekend scrimmages, is it 3v3, 4v4, is it 7v7, because it's gonna be for 6-year-old kids. So, and they got back to me. They told me it's gonna be 4v4. So I'm paying more attention to how big the games are going to be. I don't want my son playing 7v7 because this is ridiculous. I've seen that. Last summer I enrolled my kid in a 1-week program. The first thing they did was a bunch of drill cones, and then they did like a 12v12. They were like 24 kids, and they all play at the same time. It was a mess. We paid for the whole week. We never came back. We went the first day. We never came back because that was a waste of time, money, energy. Now I'm not making the same mistake again.
Right.
Thanks to the playbook and 3% parent curse.
That's awesome.
It's just, those little things are the things that are gonna help you with the whole journey.
Well, and I tell people, like, the way you got to view this, right, is like the system in the United States is not designed for parents and players to have success. And I attribute it to being like, when I was a young kid, I found a coach. It was really my parents. My parents found a coach who cared about the kids and cared about doing the right thing. And that's the key ingredient with this. If you have a coach that knows and cares, then you can achieve success. So that's why I wanted to put this content out there, because it's really about thinking outside the box. And if you're staying inside the box, success is going to be hard. But let's transition this to the 3% parent blueprint, which is, if people don't know yet, it's a parent development course is the best way to explain it. It's what I call the level 1, and it's where you go from being an average parent of what I call a 97% parent to leveling up to become a 3% parent, which means you're now armed with like the general overview of what's necessary to be successful in youth soccer. So, and navigating the system. So the first question is, since you were given access to the 3% parent blueprint, again, same idea, rating out of 10, 1 through 10, what would you give the course and why?
I would give it a solid 9.5 for sure. Here's the thing: the fact that I was able to read the playbook first, and then the 3% is definitely a compliment. It's if you're able to do both, I would definitely recommend everyone to do both, because the playbook teaches you how to focus on the development of your kid, right? And provide tools, the knowledge, and all that. But the 3% parent give the parent the tools in order to support the development of the kid. So it's not only taking your kid to practice or taking him to with a go to a private session or something like that. It gives you the information. What you're looking in a coach. You're gonna learn what are you looking for in a trainer.
Right.
You're gonna learn how to behave. You're gonna learn how you can support your kid. You're gonna learn how you can help him become more mature by giving him responsibilities, obviously age appropriate. Because and that was that was great. I love that. I've seen kids 8 years old that the parents grab the kid's hand, take him to the coach, and introduce him. And I'm like, he's 7, 8 years old. For example, I'll give you an example. I learned this on the playbook and the 3% parent.
Yeah.
We went to a new program last week. There were probably like 50 kids. It was 2 fields. There were 6 coaches, I believe. They all were wearing the same clothes. I told my kid, I was outside. I told my kid, hey, You see all the people with black jackets, those are the coaches.
Mm.
You're gonna go there. You're gonna find. By the way, he had the same name as you, Coach Kyle.
That's funny.
You go, Coach Kyle. You're supposed to be with Coach Kyle. Okay, just go out there. He's only 5. I was watching from outside.
Mm.
Did it?
He figured
it
out.
out.
You gave him the freedom.
Talked to 3 different coaches, but he figured it out. Those small tasks are gonna help him.
Oh yeah.
In the long term, and I learned that with you. Letting your kids struggle.
Right.
For him to do struggles, he's not gonna harm him.
No.
It's gonna make him tougher.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's actually something I learned from my dad. I think I talked about in 3%. I said, or he said, it was actually funny because he was a coach at one point, and he had a parent meeting because parents were on the sideline. I think it was like a U10 or U11 team, and parents were on the sideline going ballistic, joystick coaching, screaming, and he's like, listen. If you want your child coming to you for the rest of your life, then continue to solve all of their problems on the field and off the field. He's like, but if you want them to be independent, self-thinkers, to solve problems on their own and not need you in the future, then you got to let them figure this stuff out. And he even said, he's like, it's going to suck sometimes because they're going to make a mistake. They're going to do something wrong. But that's part of the growing and learning process of kids. They have, just like you or me, like this, at least for me, especially, like I feel like I learn the best when I go through that experience. Like you could tell me something, I'm like, okay, whatever. But once you go through that, that's where you're going to actually learn and like take that information and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this differently. And the only way you get that is through experience. So like a lot of times I see parents taking that opportunity for experience away. And like you just proved the point. You had your 5-year-old son, you dropped him off, you said, hey, here's the coach's name, go find him. Boom. He figured it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got
and to be honest, Coach, I understand parents are not doing it from they're trying to be good parents. Right.
They're trying to do what they think is best.
You don't want to see your kids struggle. So I completely understand it. And sometimes I do things like that. And I'm looking at him, but I'm anxious. I'm like,
right.
Control myself.
No, I'm sure, bro, I'm not a dad, but I'm sure it's hard to go through what you guys go through.
You know what makes me very anxious? Every time he needs to wear a pin. It's a mess. And I need to control myself because I want to go help him because he's just all over the place with the penny.
Right.
But he needs to figure it out. The penny, finding the coach, being on time. I'm not going to hold his hand. I'm not carrying his bag.
Right.
There's nothing in his backpack. Mine. All there is ball, water bottle, a towel, maybe spare clothes.
That's awesome.
You carry your backpack, it doesn't weigh 50 pounds, but we're starting with those small tasks, small responsibilities that he needs to, take care of.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. I talked to a guy who is a dad. He was also a very high level coach. He's now a scout for 4 professional clubs in Europe. And when I was talking to him, his son's actually my program, but I was talking to him. He's like, look, if you're a parent that gets very anxious, or he's like, Kyle, you should make this recommendation. He's like, look, tell the parent to stay in the car. If they're going to be anxious like that, they shouldn't be watching their kid because you're just creating anxiety in yourself and in the player. Just give them the freedom to figure it out, and then it's going to take some time, right? But with some time, they will loosen up, and you will loosen up to understand that it's okay for them to go through this. And again, I'm not a dad or I'm not a parent, so I don't know exactly all the stuff that you guys go through. But I think being understanding as a parent that it's okay for your kid to struggle and figure things out on their own is huge. So the more that you can give them that separation and allow them to go through this, because your son's the one that wants to play. It's not you, right? It's Yusuf that says, Dad, I want to play. Dad, I want to play. Dad, I want to play. So let him go play. He's the one that needs to do this. So I love that. So let's go to the next question. And the next one would be, what are the 3 biggest takeaways from the 3% Parent Blueprint and why?
I think the first one is definitely provide responsibility to your kids. Obviously, age appropriate. That was. I'm gonna name 3, but they're not gonna be any order.
Sure.
That one was big because we're trying to use, not only they're playing sports, but we're trying to teach our kids about life in general through sports, right? So they're gonna struggle with work. They're gonna struggle with college, especially if they move away to a different state, different country. They're gonna be on their own, so they're gonna have to learn how to figure things out. But you don't want them to start going through that experience when they're 18, 19. Right. You want them to build that confidence that they can problem solve anything.
Yeah.
So soccer or any sport is definitely a good path for them to learn about life in general.
Right.
That was one. The second one I would say is, as a parent, how can you support your kid? You know, you're being provided with the tools to learn how to support your kids. It's not clapping and cheering. No. There's a lot. I'm not gonna go into the details, obviously, but there's a lot of information there that can help you support your kid.
Can you share one so people have an idea of what it looks like?
Well, there's a course that's called, I believe it's called the 3 Keys. There's got to be the trifecta. That's how I call it. I don't
Right,
think
trifecta. Yeah.
you have the kid that needs to be engaged. The parent needs to be engaged. Sometimes I see kids that they go to practice, they participate in different programs. You know, in my area, sometimes I see the same kids in different programs, but the parent, you can tell the parent is not engaged. You know, taking your kid to practice doesn't mean you're engaged.
No.
You're supporting him. You're just dropping him off, and maybe you go away or do something else. But I try to be engaged. I don't yell. That doesn't mean you have to yell or cheer or do anything. Just be on the same page. And like you said, you need to find a coach/trainer. In my case, trainer, because he's not in a team yet, that has obviously has experience developing kids, and his plans align with you and the kid. So all three people, all three, you know,
it's game changing, right? You got to have all three in this country.
Align. You know, there's a plan, of an actual plan for the kids. Right. So you definitely need 3 people, and you need parents to be engaged, and that's what I'm trying to do right now.
There you go. The steps in the right direction. So third question: how could you use the material from the 3% Parent Blueprint and help your player?
Well, I mean, we just touched on that. I mean, we can continue expanding on that.
Well, like, could you reference it towards, like, you know, somebody else that hasn't taken the course like you have? How could they relay it back to their kid?
Well, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was a parent that was getting a little bit frustrated because every time his kid touched the ball, he was yelling, "Dribble! Try to dribble! Dribble!" The kid was just kicking the ball, booting him. Just like this kid was 6 years old. He was a little bit older. He was pushing me. He said, "Wow, how do you teach your kid to dribble?" You know. And I told him, "Hey, listen, it's been ball mastery. There's no emphasis on shooting or passing, anything like that. Just ball mastery. They're gonna learn that. There's plenty of time for that." So that's knowledge that I acquired from the 3% Parent, the Playbook. So you can compare the two scenarios. The kids was a little bit older. I don't know if he had more experience than my son, but you can see, you know, the wide range, you know, between the two. The person with the knowledge from the Playbook and the 3% Parent, and the person without it. So it's day and night. Listen. You didn't pay me.
True. I should have asked you how much did you have to pay for any of this? Zero.
Zero.
And the only thing I asked was for you to come on this call and just explain and just, you know, relay the message to other people, because, you know, at the end of the day, I want people to make better decisions, and it's hard, man, because, like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been seeing this for a long time, and it's like just the way that we behave, the way that we act, the way we treat the kids. It's not in the right. It's not in the right manner. That's why I'm so appreciative of you coming on and having this conversation with me, because, you know, people need to know that, you know, more than likely they don't know what they're doing, and that is okay. But there's actually help, and that's the craziest thing. So let's go to question number 4. Which class out of all of them, because there's 17 of them, for the 3% Parent Blueprint, was your favorite, and why?
So I can't remember the class numbers, but definitely the class that talks about the 3 keys, the kid development, right? And then there's another one that I think that expands on zone 1, I believe.
Zone 1. Yep.
Yeah, and then there's a class where you make a reference you make a comparison between basketball and soccer. So that was a very interesting one. I think without any question, we can say that the United States developed the best basketball players.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are superstars that are from other countries, but there's only a handful of them.
Right.
I think the percentage of how basketball players in the NBA there are American. But
there you go.
Why? And this still frustrated, because I have expressed this to you.
Yeah.
I don't know why we haven't cracked the formula to be as successful as we are with basketball, with soccer. It's not kids, athletic kids. It's not definitely that.
Nope.
It's not kids. It's not resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's only lack of education.
Yep.
We have all the tools. We just don't know how to bake the cake. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I think it's education of parents, obviously. Like the number of times, like example would be for you, when anybody listening to this, I get messages all the time from parents, and they'll say, like, for example, I posted, I don't know if you saw my story today, but I posted about how, again, I give you the example about the ice cream. And I probably got a minimum of 5 messages from people telling me that what I'm trying to explain is wrong. They're like, you should be teaching passing. And I'm like, do you understand the average 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old? Yeah. And if you're telling me that passing is the key thing, then you don't understand the average 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old. And then if you add, where I'm going with this is the creativity side. You can't be you can have a little bit of creativity, but you can't be overly creative if you have to pass the ball. Yeah. And especially if you're being told to pass. Whereas vice versa, if I tell your son, Yusuf, go dribble, he might try a whole bunch of stuff thousands of times, and he'll probably fail a lot, if not 90% of the time. But that one time that he makes it happen, he's going to come back to you and say, Dad, look what I did. Yeah. He's not going to talk about those 50 other times that he lost the damn ball. Yeah. He's going to talk about that one time he did a step over into a scissor, into a double tap, and then he scored that goal. Yeah. Beat 3 people. So I think that's a big issue where especially with the younger ages, we're taking away the freedom and the creativity for them to play. And then the last piece is, from my perspective, and that's why I talked about the basketball reference, is like that cultural buy-in. Like, I got a basketball court down the street from my house. Dude, I drive by all the time, and I mean, there's 10 to 15 people, at least at the point that I'm driving by, on the court, whether they're doing one-on-one or just shooting hoops or doing whatever. Like, they have that buy-in of like that repetition. Let me go out and practice. And it's not, and most of the time, it's not mom and dad. It's a kid or, an older player, like, 15-year-old going out to the hoop by themselves or going with their friends. Like, that's a huge thing that we're missing. Sorry?
I was that kid.
Right. There you go, Steve.
14 years old, 15 years old. Shoot 3, 4, 500 shots every day.
And we don't have that. So it's a big problem.
By myself. Right. You shoot. Yeah, go get the ball and come back. But if you love it, if you want to do it, if you have a goal, you're going to do it.
You're going to make it happen. And that's exactly the thing that I'm arguing. So I think if those things change, then we can get there. Because like some people have said, Kyle, oh, you just want it to be like Europe. We can't be like Europe. We're way too big. Yeah. So we have to think way differently than Europe. But what we have to do is give kids the freedom to be expressive, and we're taking that away. So for the 3% player blueprint, because I don't want to take too much more of your time, how could the 3% player blueprint help other parents who are maybe in the same situation as you, say, 6 months ago?
Well, I mean, like I said, you bring your kid to a practice, to a clinic, to a program, anything like that. There's a lot more you can do than just sit on the bleachers, or clap.
Right.
And 3% is gonna close that gap and definitely gonna put you ahead. It's gonna if you like, again, if you read the playbook and the 3% parent course, you're definitely gonna help your kid. You're gonna put your kid in a situation to be successful. Right. And we're not talking about he's gonna go to MLS. Listen, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
I'm teaching my kid that whatever you do in life, you need to put effort into it, and you're gonna try to do it the right way.
That's it.
Right? If he plays soccer, I don't want him to, like. I mean, we've been big. I think you put a list, a minimum requirements that a kid should have before start playing competitive soccer. We're working on that. How many kids are working on that? We're working on that.
You know how much hate I've gotten for that post? I would say probably, like, from a commentary perspective, I would say it's like 95% hate versus positive support. And I'm like, people are missing the bigger picture. Whether you think I'm right or wrong, and I think you said it already, you might not agree with everything I said. That's cool. But like, I'm trying to help you guys as parents understand and make better decisions, that there's more to the game than what team your son plays on or your daughter plays on. Because if you don't think about that aspect, in the long run, you're going to find out why I was telling you now in 2020 2024, you should have done it this way.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man. So I appreciate that help. So
no parents want to accept that their kid sucks.
I bet it's hard.
So it's hard. You know, I'm in my situation. Yeah. I'm thankful that my kid is just starting, so I can learn from all these people's mistakes. I'm gonna try to minimize the number of mistakes that we make. We're definitely gonna make mistakes, and we've done mistakes, but we have a good point of reference in the playbook and in the 3% parent. They complement each other.
Right.
If you read the playbook, but you don't take the 3% parent course, you're missing on a lot of information that is gonna complement and expand, you know, from the playbook.
Your depth of knowledge, yeah. Well, and I think in your case, which is why I'm really excited that you're able to do both, is because your son is so young.
Yeah.
So we're really going to be able, like, I'll say it this way, we're really going to be able to see how well this pays off for him in the long run, because he's 5.5 now. So he's getting closer to 6. He's going to be 7. He's be 8. And as long as you follow the guidelines, like I've done this multiple times with kids. And the best example I have is there's a kid, he's playing for a professional academy in Europe called Applewell. His name is Nick. I'll probably tag him, or I'll make sure I post him later. And he started late, bro. I got him at 9. Wow. And for two and a half years, and his parents will tell you, he will tell you, he was a kid that worked super hard. He had the drive and whatnot, but his level of skill was, low, bro, like real low. And all we did literally for 2 years was ball mastery. So foot skills, juggling, touch training, 1v1 skill on repeat 4 times a week for 2 years, and then we would do 1v1s and then finish with like a 2v2 or 3v3 because I had a group of 6 kids. And then the last 6 months, that's when, so now he's like 11, right? So then we started incorporating passing, like where we were actually focused on passing concepts. So for 2 straight years, ball mastery, foot skill, touch training, juggling, 1v1 skill, and all this stuff. And then the last 6 months of that, passing, receiving, overlaps, 1-2s, combinations, all this stuff that just changed the training perspective. And then from that, he was able to get to Europe and he signed for a professional club. And they literally told his parents, so whatever you guys did over there was the right move, because if you didn't do that stuff, he would not be ready for this level skillfully.
Yeah.
And it's just I can't wait to see the progress that your kid makes. Because as long as you follow the structure, bro, the sky is the limit. And it's crazy to see the growth of Yusuf, since the first video you sent me to what he's doing now. And I think, having parents, how often do you have parents come up to you saying, how does he dribble this well?
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
So far in this program that we're participating now in the winter, because I live in Massachusetts, so it's like 10 degrees. So we try, everything we're doing is indoor right now. Yeah. Even though when it goes to goes up to 30, 25, we try to practice outside, because I'm a firm believer that he needs to struggle. He needs to feel uncomfortable, Oh, yeah. So we practice outside. And you've seen the video where he's all up and 5, 6 players. I just want him to struggle a little bit. It's gonna make him tougher, Mm-hmm. So, but so far, and this is not about bragging. This is just
no. It's just explaining.
This is confirmation that we're doing something right.
Exactly.
And I think indirectly that parent is recognizing, hey, I might not be doing things right. Maybe I'm missing something here. Let me talk to this dad, even though they don't ask me that question, because so far it's been 2 times.
Right. There you go.
How old is your kid? Oh, he's really good for 5 years old. Oh, he's pretty good at dribbling. That kind of comments. And the other dad said, "Oh, how do you teach your kid how to dribble?" Ball master, and we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's so basic. Mm-hmm. It's so basic. I can't remember who told me. I don't know if it was you or someone else, but that person said that the pros are. I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing here, but they are excellent at doing the basic things. The basic things, they do it perfect. Mm-hmm. There's nothing crazy here. They just repetition and and repetition and repetition. That's it.
That's all it needs to be.
I was I'm sorry to interrupt you, coach, but I was at the park, and we spent, this was over the fall, mm-hmm. and we went to the park, and we spent an hour doing different drills. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the what we the video or the reference that we're using for ball mastery is the 25,000 touch challenge.
Oh, nice.
That's
there
the
you
video.
go. Yeah.
So we're using that video as a. I recommend everyone to look at that video because it's a very good video for different dribbling drills, and combination and kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
By the way, I'm sorry because I'm still learning the soccer lingo here, but yeah, it's an excellent video. This is the foundation of what we're using, and we spent an hour doing ball mastering and things, right? And then there was this other dad with his kid, and all they did was pass and like 30 minutes, and they shot for like 30 minutes. This kid was 8 years old. He couldn't dribble, so. You know, that's the difference. You can see different perspectives based on the level of education of the parent, you know?
Well, and it adds up, man. Like literally the other day, I was doing a training session and I saw a parent working with his kid. The kid's probably like a 2013, 14 birth year. And you can see that the dad is trying to work on passing. And I'm watching him, I'm going, he hasn't realized yet that the kid, unfortunately, doesn't have the level of skill yet to be able to pass the ball. And the example that I always give now is I relate it back to like reading. If you ask a kid that's, you know, 5, like, okay, let me phrase it this way. Yusuf, how well can he read well yet? Or is he still learning reading, or where is he at in the reading process?
Coach Ian.
Sorry, Ian, where is he at in the process?
His name is Ian. So, vowels, vocals, sight words, that kind of stuff.
Right. So where I'm going with this, and apologies for the name.
By the way.
Yeah, sorry about that. So in his process, if you look at a kid at his age, it would be completely unreasonable for us to expect him to be able to read a sentence or read a page or read a book. You got to start with the structure. You build the structure.
Yeah, correct.
And then once you have the core skill of structure, then we can ask him to read a sentence.
Correct, yeah.
And then once he can start reading sentences, we can have him read a page. Once he reads a page, he can then read a book.
Yeah.
So, and it just all ties into the skill development perspective of core skill and building it all the way through. And then once that's achieved, then you can do a whole bunch of stuff. But until you have that, it's, you know, intrinsically impossible to make that happen. So it's.
And just to add on what we were talking, I know we have talked about this, you and me, but I feel like because of the emphasis on ball mastery for the past 8-9 months, I feel like he's not wasting brain power in dribbling.
Right.
He's now focusing on the defender.
There you go.
He definitely needs to calculate and, you know, and think about my change of direction. But in terms of pushing the ball, dribbling, and going in a straight line, or maybe change direction with the inside or the outside, it's becoming second nature for him.
Yeah, and it's because you've got him develop the core skill, and now you're able to implement, and this is a key thing that I tell people all the time, because it's great that you can go practice just like doing ball mastery.
Yeah.
But if you don't ever relay that back, in Ian's case, to going against somebody, applying and implementing the said skill, what I've noticed is they become a freestyler. That means, okay, great, they can do the tricks and they can do the flicks, but they don't actually know how to use it against somebody one-on-one. And the whole reason for a skill, the reason why you're going to do a scissor or a body fake or a step over, whatever the skill is because you are there to either beat an opponent, to escape the opponent, or change direction. That's it. There's no other reason to do a skill. And you don't want to be one of those players, or, you know, as a parent, if you're listening to this, you don't want to have your player being that guy that, you know, does freestyling, where they do all these tricks and stuff, but there's no direction, to your point, and they don't have the awareness of why they're actually using it. And that happens because they're stuck just doing ball mastery, and they don't actually learn the implementation of the skill. That was a great point, so I appreciate that, especially for your son. That's fantastic.
I mean, by the way, I just want to clarify. We do 90% of the work that we do is ball mastery. We do like 5% passing and receiving, obviously because, you know, it's only 5%. And then
once
we do
he has
like
the skill, you can implement it a little bit. Absolutely.
5% shooting. The only shooting we're doing is with the inside of the foot for accuracy. I mean, he doesn't have any power. It's a skinny 5-year-old kid. So the plan is to develop that in, you know, later. I mean, maybe when he turns 7 or 8, something like that. But focus. I mean, doing 3 years of ball mastery.
Oh, it changed his life.
It was like, I mean, where he's gonna be, we'll see. I mean, it's like you say, it's a case study. So.
One of the things that I can recommend that you have him do as well, it's a secret tool that most people won't use. He can use it for passing. He can use it for shooting. He can do it for a quick release, and that would just be a toe poke. So make him feel comfortable to be able to just poke it with his toe, because it's a quicker release than trying to pass with the inside. But to add a point to this for you and your son, now that he has a lot more skill individually, you can start. You added the passing element, which is great. You can then start teaching the decision making, which becomes, why am I dribbling, or why should I be making the pass instead? And that's simply because, what is the defender giving him? So you could, like, for example, with you and your wife, you could be the defender, your wife could be on the right, and then you move. So you either move to block the pass, which forces him to go into the dribble, or vice versa, you block the dribble and you leave the pass open. So now he has to start recognizing, Ian, do I dribble him or do I release it? And those little things will make a huge difference in the longer term scale of his development, because then he's now also getting what I call that advanced decision making. Yeah. Okay, I'm dribbling because the defender's giving me the dribble versus giving me the pass. Okay, I need to pass the ball because the dribble's gone and the pass is wide open. But I'll reemphasize it one more time. The only way that a player can do that is if they have enough skill like your son Ian. There's just no other way to even question it. Because if you're trying to force a kid to pass the ball and he does not, or she does not have enough skill, you are wasting your time, effort, energy. And as a parent, you're only going to get more pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah. That's interesting that you mentioned that, because one of the first videos that I showed you, and I think what you just said just emphasized that I found a good trainer, because that person was put a line of cones, different colors, and he was asking him to do different skills, and then after doing a skill, he would yell a color, and then he needs to dribble to the different color. So he needs to make a decision. Okay, where's the yellow cone? Okay, let me go with the red one. So we start introducing those little things about decision making.
Yeah, and again, the more that you can do that, the greater difference it'll make to him. And it's not, again, you still don't want to take away the freedom to just be a kid and dribble the ball. Yeah. But it's just, giving him that reinforcement. Hey, just pay attention to what the defender's giving you, because once you see what he's giving you, then you can make the best decision. And that's why I use the word advanced decision making, because players will make decisions without actually realizing what is in front of them or what is the best option. So when they have the advanced decision making concept, that's because they're good enough, skillfully they're good enough. They already have made decisions, but now they're actually understanding what the defender or defenders are giving them, and then your son Ian or any player could then make a better decision. Yeah. Should I pass it or should I take the dribble? And it's all because of what's in front of them. So that type of stuff is so invaluable. So I'm really glad that you're seeing the reinforcement of that, because it will make a difference in the long run for sure. So any final thoughts that you have about, maybe summary, why, or just feedback in general of the Youth Soccer Playbook or the 3% Parent Blueprint, and why parents should maybe invest their time and energy into it?
I mean, as a parent, you need to educate yourself. Like I said, it's not only taking your kid to practice and finding a training. Like, there's so much thing you can do in between. You need to understand what are the things that you need to work since day one.
Right.
Help support your kid in different way. Give them responsibilities. Learn what the kid should be, because sometimes parents take their kids to practice and trainer, and they could be practicing, whatever. I don't know. Who knows? They don't realize that what the coach is doing in practice is wrong, or is not age appropriate. So
absolutely,
you educate yourself. You're gonna save money, short term, long term. You're gonna be more selective with the training. You're gonna become dangerous, and that's what clubs don't want.
Oh, no.
Clubs want parents. Like, how many? I asked, like I said, I emailed that director and I asked him, hey, this program, they play on the weekends. How big are the games? He told me 4v4. Okay, so I'll do this, but I'm not gonna do anything, based on the playbook, on the 3% parent, and what you've been emphasizing since day one. I mean, I think you said 3v3 for 8, 5, and 6, but there's no 3v3 in my area.
That's hard.
It's hard. It's extremely hard, because it's about money. More kids in the field, the better So
I'm going through the same
those are the,
struggle, bro, because we're trying to do more 2v2s here because in Orlando, I'm noticing that there's a huge gap between like the 1% of players that are really, really good that can handle 7v7 versus the rest of them that just don't have the level yet, and they should be doing like a 2v2 or a 3v3. But we're not getting like the buy-in from parents on a consistent basis to want to do 2v2 because they go, we want to play 7v7. And I'm like, you guys are missing the bigger picture. Like, think about your kids' girls. So it's hard, bro. I understand, and that's why I put that resource together, especially for the playbook, because I'm like, man, like there's no roadmap, there's no direction, there's no guidance. So I'm really happy, Hassan, that you and Ian are able to take advantage, and I'm really excited to see what happens. And again, I really thank you for your time coming on this call. You know, just giving the feedback and the resource for other people to have the experience, and I think that's just tremendous. So I thank you so much for your time.
Recommend everyone to take a look at the playbook and the 3% parent course and the 1% that I know you're going to be working on that as well.
I'm working on it right now. Yeah, I got to deal with recordings and stuff too.
Yeah, it's great. You know, something I can definitely mention real quick is that you've been emphasizing on futsal for a long time, and then there's a difference between indoor soccer and futsal. So and you go over the details. So as a parent, if you recognize that, you can definitely be more selective and know what you're getting into, know what you're paying for. Because sometimes we pay. Listen, I can tell you right now, clinics in my area, Northeast, 6-8 week clinics are ranging between 125 and 180 for 6-8 class, 1 hour. Sometimes you pay $180 and what you get back is crap. What you get back, and you talk about this, what you get back is $20 worth of training, And I'm pretty sure that with the playbook and the 3% parent, as a parent without experience, you can go to any field and you can spend 30, 45, 60 minutes with your kid, and you can teach him more than any of these clinics that you pay. So it just doesn't matter. You don't need to be a professional, at least at this age, 5, 6, And there are videos. You have a huge library of videos that talk about, mental toughness, skills, college recruitment, and all that kind of stuff. People need to take advantage of that because no one is doing that.
Well, and that's why I made the comment earlier. And I'm like, I'm one guy, and I wanted to put this stuff out there for people. And it's like, you have organizations. Again, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but they make millions of dollars a year, and they have not put these resources out. Why?
Yeah.
Because they know if you don't know what you're talking about, they will absolutely take your money and run to the bank as fast as possible. So it's just huge. So again, I really thank you for your time. I'm really excited to keep me updated on Ian's progress, and I hope he continues to just kill it because it looks like he's balling out, bro, which is fantastic. And again, thank you so much for your time, and let's keep it rolling, man. So if you need anything else, let me know. And just real quick for anybody else that's going to listen to this now or listen to it later, the Youth Soccer Playbook is available. There's really 3 ways, but there's 2 main ways. You can either watch it or listen to it. So you can go to my YouTube channel to watch it. You can go to my podcast to listen to it. And it's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. You just go take advantage of it. And I walk you through what I would do with my son and or daughter from essentially birth to hopefully signing for a Division I college or professional contract. And I walk you top to bottom through the whole thing. And then the second thing is what we're discussing is the 3% parent blueprint. I saw some questions and stuff came in. I'm going to be doing a big announcement probably February 1st about how that's all going to roll out and what's going to happen because the 3% is ready. And I'm working on the 1% now, which it'll still take me some time to get it produced and whatnot, but it's coming. It'll be here shortly. And it's really to just help you parents make better decisions. But stay waiting until February 1st announcement about the 3% parent blueprint and what's going to happen. I'm excited to let you guys know, and we're going to kill this, man. And I'm excited to see what happens. So thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. Tell Ian I said what's going on, and you guys have a good night, man.
Thank you, Coach.
I'll see you guys later. Ciao.